These are the rods that are going to form part of the mechanism for the wings. They're 1/4 inch stainless steel rods, hollow, flattened one end. I'll get into that a little bit later. I picked these up at a metal business. That's what they do. They recycle metal and they sell metal products, and so I do not buy my metal at Canadian Tire or Home Depot or any of those places. They don't bring it in big enough lots to get a premium discount, so you are going to pay a premium price for this. In every city in Canada and the United States, there has got to be a metal shop, place that does metal. Check that out. Look in your phone listings, find a place that recycles metal, and generally that's where you're going to find this type of stuff. All the metal for this so far, all these stainless steel tubes, I bought basically a half a dozen of these stainless steel tubes, and some I think it's 1/4 inch rod as well that I have. All of this stuff has cost me like less than $10. I would probably be paying $10 for one of these rods at Home Depot. So that is the beginning of the structure. So what I'm going to do now is drill some holes and see if it all works. So what I've done here is I've flattened the end of the rod in a vise, just cranked it closed. I did one little first one that was probably about half of that crushed there, and then found that I wasn't getting a tight enough diamond, so I crushed more. After drilling out a hole to accept a 1024 bolt, I have also rounded and tried to smooth it off to get a nice smooth surface for pivoting over. So I'm going to clamp the two of these together using a 1024 bolt with a bunch of washers and then a nylock on the end. Yeah, so I'm just working out some of the geometry right now, which kind of sucks because nobody told me there'd be math. And yet here we are. So I've done the same thing. I've flattened these rods at the end, and what I'm hoping that'll keep the profile of this all really nice and tight. So anywhere that I'm joining them, I'm going to flatten them out, just to like I say, keep that profile tight, so that, the wings don't end up being like that thick with everything stacked on top of each other. So the measurement I have so far is roughly 8 inches to here, and I'm thinking about 8 inches up there. Okay. I hate drilling into tubes. I suck at it really badly. So what I've done to try and mitigate some of my suckiness is I've screwed it down on this end and then clamped it at here. And this took a bit because when I clamped, this wanted to roll one way or the other. So I'd have to clamp and then adjust with the screwdriver. But now everything is sitting in there nice and tight. Doesn't seem to want to move too much. Yeah, it doesn't look like it's moving too much. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to mark where my spot is that I want to drill. I'm going to be very carefully just tap a little set in here, just with a punch, just to kind of dent this so it'll accept the drill bit and hopefully stay in the center right the way through to the bottom. Ears open, fingers crossed. So here I am with the mock-up done. And just to show how it's working, So right now, just trying to make sure that everything's balanced. Pretty close, little different over from one side to the other. That could play into it, make things look really goofy or not. And it may just come down that you gotta cut the board a little bit if you want everything to be balanced. But there it is so far. Pretty happy with this. I'm digging his design, this Pyro Schnid. One thing that's interesting is just how little movement in order to create a wide wingspan. I am literally traveling 4 inches tops. Exciting. I'll go over these measurements real quick for you. So this guy from point to point, this whiteboard from point to point here is roughly 16 inches. Measurement from this point to this point is roughly 8. From this point to this point is roughly 8. This point, I noticed in his video, this arm is just, this portion is just slightly longer than this portion. Right now it is quite a bit longer, so I'm probably going to cut about an inch off of those, because this is about 8 inches here, from there to there, from there to there, but from here to the end is about 10 inches. So I'm probably going to knock at least an inch off and go from there. So far, gotta love it when a plan comes together. So I want to show you this. I am out. That's not quite a quarter of an inch out when all is said and done. But that could be significant down the line. It's probably why why things weren't lining up properly on the shield, as it were, the backbone of this prop. It could also mean that at some point in there, either something isn't quite as extended as the other side or isn't as contracted as the other side. So what am I going to do with that? I think for the time being I'm going to leave it and just see where things go. But measure once, cut twice. So I redid it. I couldn't live with it. Driving me crazy. So now they match. Way better. Going forward. I am really close. My geometry isn't quite right yet, but I'm close. It would definitely be nice if I had another inch or so to go to really bring that in nice and tight like that, and I probably can. Because then that would put this up more like that. But it may all be for naught anyways. It is heavy. So we'll see what happens. I'm not sure what kind of torque W.I.P motors have. I haven't really worked with W.I.P motors all that much, if you can believe it. Yeah, I'm going to keep experimenting, see where we get to. A couple other things I've noticed. I think definitely this bar, if it was the pivot point was there instead of there, allow me to get a much sharper diamond there and still stay on the board. So you can use that other couple of inches, and that way the wings would come in a little tighter. But the other thing I'm noticing is that this almost has to be a secure point. It almost has to be like a 4-bar, right? That's what it kind of looks like. And I'm not quite sure how I'm going to accomplish that yet. A lot of weight, and I haven't even got the other couple of ribs on this side and these guys on here. That's going to be a lot of weight that's on there. My thing is, I don't know if I can build it successfully out of plastic rod, which I believe is what Pyroschnid. I hope I'm saying it right, buddy. Anyways, I don't know if I can do it with that, mainly because of the winds here. Obviously, this guy's going to come down if the wind speed gets up, but I'd like to have enough there, enough substance there that you know, the winds could take a fluttering without breaking. And I'm just, one thing I'm concerned about, obviously, with plastic is the colder it gets, the more brittle it gets. So, not quite sure where we go from here. You know what? I'm probably just going to continue the build as it is, and then overcome the weight at a different time. If nothing else, I've got all the measurements with the pieces that I've cut, so it'd be easy enough to transfer them over to another type of material if I do decide that this is too heavy, or if the general physics of it don't work with the motor that I'm using. So we'll see what happens.